Today, we're making dumplings. I'm so excited we're making vegan chicken and dumplings. I actually first developed this recipe for my cookbook Plentiful, so if you're ever interested to see the actual full out version, it's in Plentiful. This is a slightly more abridged and easier version, and I just want to throw it out there that if you need a gift for the holidays, my cookbook would make a great gift. So just throwing that out there for you. But today we're making vegan chicken and dumplings. This is complete and utter comfort food. There is no two ways around it. It's delicious and it's actually pretty easy to make, so let's do it. Hair is up, so you know we mean business. We're gonna start off by chopping our carrots, onions, and celery. Now I feel like with all the past soup recipes, I've told you guys oh, it can be rough chops, it's okay, but with this, we do want nice, fine chopping. So I'm just cutting off the ends here. So what I like to do is actually cut my celery in half. Celery is like a pretty wide veggie. And then I just kind of go through it again after I get it all. Now I didn't peel these carrots actually, because as long as you wash your carrots really well, you kind of don't need to peel them. So it depends on my mood. Sometimes I don't feel like peeling carrots, and today was one of those days. For these, I'll cut it in half and then cut the half in half. So then you have, like a flat edge like this. It makes it way easier to cut them. Also, if you want to throw everything in a food processor on the chop function, you definitely do that too. And then last but not least, we got an onion. I had a whole onion, so I cut about this much off. I call it a quarter of an onion in the recipe. You can really do as much or as little onion as you like. While I chop this onion, I'm going to tell you guys a funny story. Chicken and dumplings is my boyfriend's favorite meal. So when we first started dating, I was like, what can I cook for you? You know, trying to be all cute. And he's like, well, I really love chicken and dumplings. And I was like, well, would you be okay with me making it vegan for you? He's like, yeah, definitely. Cause he's so cute. He's not vegan, but he's so supportive, and he always is happy to eat vegan food. So I was like, okay, cool. I was like, I'll make you really good vegan chicken and dumplings. It came out great. I was so nervous making it for him. I was like, what if he doesn't like it? And he's not gonna tell me that he doesn't like it. And I told him, I was like, listen, you need to always be honest with me and tell me if you don't like something that I make. Because I don't want you to lie to me about my cooking, but also just be nice. And so I made it for him and it was great. But it's so funny now because basically he's like, can you not make it with the celery and the carrots, and can you just make me all dumplings? We don't need the vegan chicken. And he's like, can you make a lot of dumplings and little dumplings? So we've basically just customized the recipe completely to his preference, which is fine. It's it's his soup that he wants. But it's just so funny, all the elements of it from when the first time I made it to now for him have just changed completely. Got my onions chopped, I'm throwing them in the pot as well. Pot of chopped veggies, and we're gonna add in 1.5 tablespoons of oil, 22 grams, 22 milliliters. I'm gonna bring this over to the stove now and we'll let these saute. While I'm letting that back there start to saute, I just wanted to quickly talk to you about what we're using for vegan chicken. I'm gonna be using soy curls in this recipe. I'll have them linked down below. I believe that Butler Foods is the only soy curl company out there. I could be wrong, but it's the only company I've ever seen. You can order them from their website, you can order them from Amazon. You can't really get them in stores anywhere, which does kind of stink. Unless you look on their website, they do have them in some stores, but it's not you could just go to the local supermarket and get them. But otherwise, you could just use any vegan chicken that you like. Actually, my boyfriend's mom made this recipe one time and she used the Sweet Earth Mindful chicken. You could use any kind of chicken like that, like a daring, something where it's almost like a chicken, not like a chicken cutlet, you know what I mean? Like a piece of chicken. Or of course you could always use tofu, you could add in beans, you could leave it out and you could make it my boyfriend's style and just go all dumplings. So there's plenty of ways to do that. But I like to use the soy curls for this. Just gonna give these a toss around. You really wanna let this saute for 5 to 7 minutes. I'm gonna add a little bit of black pepper to my veggies and some salt just to give them a little flavor. And once those onions really start to turn translucent and everything feels a little bit more softened, that's when we can move on with the process. We're gonna use Than Bouillion in this recipe. If you want to use veggie broth, if you want to use a bouillon cube, you can. I just really love Than Bouillion because it's just this super concentrated paste. It's really thick. I like to have my warm water. This is 4 cups. We're gonna need 6 cups of water for this recipe, but the 4 cups to do the broth in is fine. And then I'm gonna scoop about 2 tablespoons of the Than Bouillion. Looks like that. Like I said, it's a super concentrated paste right into here. Mix it around. The red Than Bouillion is very good. It has a lot of flavor. Everything is sauteed up pretty well. You could totally see the difference. And just, you know, be patient with this. Do it over low and slow heat. And then we're just gonna throw in like a tablespoon of vegan butter. This is gonna help to form our roux in a second. So I'm just gonna let this vegan butter melt down in here. And we're gonna then add in flour, which will help like thicken up the soup after it's done cooking later on. You'll see. I'm using all-purpose flour. If you're gonna ask me about gluten-free, you know, I'll always just tell you guys, I don't test these recipes as gluten-free. I cannot speak to how it would work with gluten-free flour. So if you decide to try with gluten-free all-purpose flour, please let me know how it works. There's, you know, Bob's Red Mill and King's Arthur has 1-to-1 substitutes. So I'm just going to toss the veggies around because of the oil and the vegan butter. It'll form like, it almost looks like it's forming a dough. It like clumps up onto the veggies, but that's okay. So once it's all clumped onto the veggies and basically you don't see any more dry white flour, we're going to start to slowly pour in the veggie broth. And I'm talking like, we're gonna go real slow because you'll see what happens. Then we're gonna add in just a little bit. That was, I wanna say, maybe 2 tablespoons. You're going to mix it and basically see how that liquid got all absorbed again. Okay, great. Then we add a little bit more. And we do this slowly like this to ensure that the flour doesn't turn into clumps in our broth. And you just want to give it a good mix each time in between. Just be patient with yourself in this process, and going slower is definitely way better than going faster and then being stuck with flour lumps in your soup. And I'm also adding in a little bit more liquid now this time because I know that the soup is getting better at dealing with the flour to liquid ratio, if that makes sense. Add this in, and then I also still have to get 2 cups of water. Mix this up real quick, and then I'll get the 2 cups of water, and then we'll throw that in there as well. So now you'll just let this broth cook. And I know you're probably thinking, well, this looks like a liquid again. As it cooks, it'll thicken. It thickens back up, but you need to do it this way to ensure that the broth comes out correct. I'm also just gonna throw in my soy curls while we let this kind of boil. I'm not rehydrating them at all because they're just gonna rehydrate in the pot. I'm gonna raise the heat slightly. Time for a fun part. We're gonna make our dumpling dough. So we're gonna do dry ingredients first. So we need 2 cups or 240 grams of all-purpose flour. I'm using the kitchen scale because we talked about accuracy. Wow, the sun got really bright, sorry. Then we're going in with 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 14 grams of that. Just a sprinkle. The baking powder is salty, so I just do like a little sprinkle like that, maybe like 1/4 of a teaspoon, 1/8 of a teaspoon. Give this a mix. Then we're going to do 2/3 of a cup of non-dairy milk, 160 milliliters. And then I have 2 tablespoons of melted vegan butter right here. Pour that in. And now we just carefully and gently mix. You don't want to overwork this dough. You just need to mix it till it comes together. It should be a little bit sticky. If you need to add in a little more non-dairy milk, you totally can. Don't like mix it too hard. Try to fold it. I do feel like I need another little splash of milk maybe. Non-dairy milk. It's like if you don't say that it's non-dairy milk before, then people are like, you're not using vegan milk. But if I say vegan milk, then everyone's like, well, of course it's vegan, you're vegan. Yeah, that's better. This is like the consistency you want. Our soy curls have been boiling in here, so they got pretty rehydrated and nice looking. They look like this, so that's good. And now we can start putting in our dumplings. You know, it's up to you how big you want to make them. I prefer not to make them massive. I like them a little smaller. So this is our dumpling dough. Like, it's not perfect. It just kind of looks like that. And then you can just pop them in there. I want to do like maybe 2 tablespoons worth, 1.5 tablespoons. And I just like the method of the 2 spoons because then you just pop it off. You want to work relatively quickly here because everything, you need these to like simmer and boil for a little bit. So the sooner you can kind of get them all in, the better. All my dumplings are in. You could see the ones that have already cooked. I'm going to give them a little stir around, and then I'm going to cover them with a lid, and we're going to let this like simmer and boil for about 10-15 minutes. We'll check on them. Really realizing I forgot to add in the parsley, so you can just throw that in now, it's fine. mix so the parsley goes to the bottom. Man, those dumplings are looking good though, huh? So our dumplings are looking nice and plump. Just gonna give it a little mix. And they're like sturdy, don't worry, like you're not gonna break them. And as you can see, they puff up when they cook. So that's why you don't need to worry about making them like too large when you're scooping the dough, because they will puff up. And as you can see, the soup has thickened up again. So it's like all these steps where it may seem like things aren't going right, they will go right, don't worry. Our soup is done. Ooh, steamy. And you are just gonna have the biggest, most beautiful batch of these dumplings. Like, okay, it's 1,000,000 degrees. I do just wanna show you, before I plate it up, what the inside of these dumplings looks like. We've gotta wait for the steam to cool down a little bit, huh? I got one little lone dumpling in here. I'm gonna cut into it so you can see what the inside of this cooked dumpling should look like. See how it almost looks like a dry biscuit or something inside? That's the texture we're going for when you cut into it. It's so, so good. Perfect for those cold nights. Ooh, that was a really long soy curl in there. Would you call this more of a stew because of how thick it is? Like, I feel like it's almost more stew-like than it is even a soup. Look at that beautiful, beautiful bowl. It looks gorgeous. And now it is time for the taste test. I already know these taste good because I know. And there you go. That is how you make vegan chicken and dumplings. Perfect for these cold months ahead of us. Really great. And it's actually very quick to make. It probably realistically would only take you 45 minutes start to finish. It's very easy. As always, the full written out, I have to stop looking at it. As always, the full written out recipe is on the blog, planfullybasedblog.com, or you can find it in my cookbook, Plentiful. And if you make these, let me know how it goes. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't seen our other fall recipes, go check them out. This is the 8th one, so we only have 2 more left in the fall season. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!